Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're all keeping well. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Hit that subscribe button and enjoy the entertainment. Anyway, I am going to be talking about the WrestleMania weekend. Two great nights and some twists and turns. I did a prediction video on the matches. Got some right, got some wrong. So I'll go through the results and talk about the events that happened at the thing. First of all, credit to everyone involved over the weekend. From the Hall of Fame ceremony on Friday to the NXT show and the 2 nights of WrestleMania. As always, they absolutely killed it. The matches, some were better than others. I'll be honest, some were better than others. Some sort of dragged or fell a bit flat, but overall, they went out there and performed and did great. So credit to them all. Triple H, my man, fucking racks himself, trying to fill the boots of, you know, a company that's been built for decades by the McMahon family. So, very great speech at the Hall of Fame ceremony. Uh, but anyway, let me get into. So I'm going to go through the results, and I'll just skim through them quickly. Talk about the matches. So start off the night. Obviously, night one started off with Jey Uso beating Gunther for the world title. I thought Gunther was going to win because, as much as I like Jey, I don't know what direction they go with him as champion, and I don't know what direction they go with Gunther. You know, now that he's lost the title, so what direction him. But it was a good match. Some good spots, and Jay hit multiple frog splashes, and then locked the sleeper on Gunther. And I thought that Gunther tapped a little too quickly. Like, it was literally like Jay had locked sleeper on him, and then as soon as the referee even got down, it was like tap. And I thought that it could have went a little bit longer. Had Gunther struggling to get out of it maybe, and trying to reach the ropes, but then just like run out of energy and just like a weakened tap instead of, as soon as Jay locked it on, just tap away. But look, Jay won. The crowd liked it. Overall, on social media, it's been mixed. Uh, but the crowd were, they were yeeting for his entrance. They were yeeting on his victory. Jimmy came out and they celebrated. So a great moment for Jay, and we'll see where he goes from that. Uh, Next match was the tag uh, world tag team titles on Raw between New Day and the War Raiders. This one, I noticed it just, I don't know where it was coming across, on just on TV or in the crowd. The the noise level just sort of dropped for this match. It was like so quiet. Um, I do think it would have been better if they had gone with the SmackDown titles and had the uh, TLC or ladder match that they booked for next week, instead of this match. But I thought, I predicted that the New Day was going to win, but I thought that they were going to build up to Big E getting involved because of the whole storyline with Kofi and Xavier turning on him. I thought that he was going to show up, and that's why the match was going to be on Mania. But yeah, it felt like a get it done, get it over with. There was a few spots, and then Xavier and Kofi cheated to win. So I said the crowd was just a bit flat for that. Um, a good match between Jade and Naomi. I thought overall it was one of the best matches on night one. Some good spots from Jade. She caught Naomi diving off the ropes and, turning it into a slam, so I thought that was very good. Still, Jade, still a little. Uh, what's the word I want to say? Still a little shaky in the ring, but there were some spots that she did hit well. And I think as the more she goes on, the better she's going to get in the ring. So I think a great match for them. Jade won, and we'll see where that story goes next, whether they finish it or whether there's more to be added between Bianca if she's involved in it. Uh, but yeah, good match for Naomi and Jade. Uh, this match, El Grande Americano versus Rey Fenix. Obviously, originally I predicted it was going to be El Grande versus Rey Mysterio. And I don't know where it was planned or whether Rey did pick up an injury on SmackDown. He was replaced by Rey Fenix. Um, Again, another very entertaining match. Rey Fenix got to hit his moves. El Grande, not Chad Gable, hit some great spots. There was it wasn't a moonsault. It was a 450 splash, but backwards that he hit, and that was a great moment, a great spot. Um, but obviously he cheated to win. I did think that they were going to switch it because it was Rey Fenix making his WrestleMania debut. I thought that they were going to switch it and have him win, but uh, they had El Grande win, and he got into some sort of before the match some altercation with AAA, which WWE has now acquired. So, be curious to see what they do with that roster. So he won that match. Next was LA Knight and Jacob Fatu. Uh, it was a good match. I thought the LA Knight would have won, possibly, either by disqualification or because Solo and Tamatonga got involved and cost Jacob the match, which would then build up their feud more. But no, it was a good match, and again, Jacob hit some great spots with his moves off the top rope. And well done to Jacob. His first singles title in WWE, so we'll see where he goes from there. I think he is going to be one of the big stars in WWE going forward, so we'll see where he goes. And I don't know what they do with LA Knight now. Do they keep him in the sort of bracket of just chasing the United States title, or do they see more for him? Is it possible maybe that if they do like a draft or something at some point, and LA Knight goes to Raw, maybe they could have him challenge Jay for the world title or something. I don't see him going for the WWE title, but maybe if he was on Raw, it's new, you know, titles to chase for: the Intercontinental title, the world title. But we'll see how it goes. Um, this match between Tiffany and Charlotte, I was very surprised that Tiffany won, but I think it was the right thing to do. I thought, as I said in my prediction, that Charlotte coming back from injury, win the Rumble. I expected her to win at Mania, but it was a good match. A few moments where you didn't know whether they were sort of laying on some punches or kicks for real. I don't. I can't tell. It looked as if Tiffany either busted her mouth or she had. I don't know where she had chipped her tooth or something at the end of the match, but it was a good match. At one point, I thought Charlotte was going to win because she had locked in the figure four and was about to transition into her move whenever Tiffany had worked on the leg to get out of it. At one point I did think that Charlotte had re-injured her leg because I can't remember what move it was, but I think it was where Tiffany had gone for the moonsault and Charlotte had countered and got her knees up, and whatever way Tiffany had landed, Charlotte couldn't make the cover after hitting the counter move, and Tiffany had to maneuver for Charlotte to sort of drag her over into a roll up, but it looked as if she finished the match okay, and a great moment for Tiffany in her first WrestleMania, and we'll see where she goes from there. The main event of night one, I think, was what everyone was tuning to see. I didn't know what way this was going to go. I went with Seth in my predictions because it felt like he was the right one to win it, and Seth did win. I had speculated how that could possibly win, whether they were all exhausted and maybe Punk had hit Seth with the go to sleep, but because they were all exhausted, maybe Punk had fell down and Seth had fallen on top of Roman and got the pin. But this was worked out well. Paul Heyman, his facial expressions whenever he is stressed or upset is so great. The way he was like doing sort of the groveling look to Roman, or whenever Punk was sort of boasting to Heyman when he was on the offensive, it looked as if Heyman was like sort of saying he was happy, but at the same time he was like saying just finish the match. Don't do any more damage to Roman or anything. But this worked out very well. I didn't expect it to turn out the way it went. I thought whenever Heyman picked up the steel chair and it showed the shot of both Punk and Roman looking at him and sort of gesturing for the chair, I thought what he was going to do was throw it past them to Seth there and then, and that was the switch, and Seth used the chair. But the fact that they went from person to person, he must have got fucking 3 paychecks that night, because he sided with Punk as his best friend, and then turned on Punk and sided with Roman as his wise man, and then a very good setup with the reminiscent of last year's Mania with Seth with his back, Roman with a chair, and then you sort of knew as soon as Heyman went behind Roman. Even the crowd sort of like started to gasp as soon as Roman stepped forward and Heyman was behind him. You knew he was about to do something. I thought it would have been slightly better if maybe if Heyman had been sort of in front and had gotten between Seth and Roman, and had if he had dropped down, uh, in that sort of yes, my tribal chief, yes, and as Seth stared at Roman, then Heyman hit him with a low blow there, but because he was standing behind Roman, you knew exactly what was about to happen. So, very curious to see what they do now with Heyman aligning with Seth. I think it'll be very interesting to have them two linked together, and I don't know if Seth goes after the world title. I just I, I still look at it as, even though they are the two main titles on separate shows, I still look at it as the WWE title is the official title, and then the world title, it still feels less significant. I think it's because they still refer to the WWE title as the undisputed title. I think it has more sort of prestige compared to this world title. So I don't know whether they have Seth with Heyman now, whether he at some point goes after the WWE title, or if he will look to reclaim the world title because he lost it at last year's Mania. But very curious to see what they do with him and what this means for Punk and Roman going forward. The next show is obviously Backlash, so does that mean that we're going to get something? Is it going to be Roman versus Seth with Heyman in his corner, or is it Punk versus Seth with Heyman in his corner, or is Roman for now, is he done until the next big event? Is Punk sort of done, you know, for the next while or so? But anyway, that was night one. I said some night one, some good matches, some matches that sort of they were all right, but I don't know if they need to be like on Mania. But so move on to night two. Start off with the women's triple threat. I thought definitely as soon as this match got going, night two was already looking better than night one. Great match between Bianca, Io, and Rhea. I've had gone with Bianca to win in my predictions. Io won, which in general I think was deserved because the whole storyline was about Bianca and Rhea. I had said in my predictions that initially I don't think Io should have been involved in the storyline. I think that they should have done something different with Io and just had Bianca versus Rhea. But Io put on a great performance. They all did, and she hit a great moonsault at the end. Everyone seems to have a moonsault or a frog splash. She hit a great moonsault at the end to pin Bianca, so she retained the title. So well done to her. And I guess we'll see what happens next. Either Rhea and Bianca are still going to have their feud, or Bianca's going to return to SmackDown and continue this story with Jade and Naomi, whatever happens there. Rhea, I'm assuming that she is still going to be in the women's title conversation whenever they have, whether she faces AO at Backlash or whatever happens from there, but we'll see with that. Uh, Next, we had the street fight between Drew and Damien. This was at times brutal. Some of the moves that Drew McIntyre executes on his back at times, I don't know how his spine is still in one piece. I mean, I think it was back, was it the Hell in a Cell match with Punk where he had gone to hit that move and Punk had ducked and he had slammed his back right into like to the corner of the steps. And this one again, he hit the modified DDT on the steps and his back just, it just looked like his back was just ready to break. Uh, Very good back and forward. Uh, I noticed at the end of the match, whenever Priest had gone to do the old school move, the crowd weren't happy with that. I don't know where they sort of look at that as sort of sacred to the Undertaker's moveset, or well, they were just backing Drew for the match. But obviously, Drew knocked Damien off the ropes into the tables and then hit the Claymore into the corner on the steel chair, pinned him. So I gone with Drew to win that match, and it was a good moment for Drew to finally get some closure. I don't know what happened with Damien's necklace that Drew had stolen. Like, they never mentioned or brought that up afterwards, so I don't know whether Drew still has that or whether he will bring it up in a future show. But a good match for them. This match I really enjoyed, and even though I had predicted the winner, I did not see it coming. I really did not. I said in my predictions that I was going with Dominic to win this Fatal 4-Way. I had a feeling that out of all of them, he was going to find a way to sort of, sneak in and get it, and realistically, that's what happened. Some great moves from Braun and Penta. Carlito got speared again. Very good spot, with Breaker leaping from one table to the other. I didn't realize how spaced apart the tables were. So this well that he had landed, got enough leap off the first table just to land and get Carlito through the table. I like the sort of, again, the dysfunction in the Judgment Day between Finn and Dominic, and at one point you thought Finn was going to win because he had knocked Dominic's foot off the rope, and then he had hit his finisher on Braun. But then, similar to AO in the women's match, Dominic comes down with a frog splash and ends up pinning Finn. So I don't think that's going to go down well. I think that might be the end of the Judgment Day, or I don't know if they're going to do maybe a sort of NWO style of where it breaks off into two factions of Finn and JD, and then Carlito and Dominic in their group. But a great moment for Dominic, and the crowd went nuts whenever he won. So I don't know if this means at some point we're going to get Dominic turning face. Honestly, I wouldn't do it. I think he works so much better as a heel And although I said the same for Rhea, I thought Rhea worked very good as a heel, and then they turned their face. So we'll see how it goes. Obviously, when Dominic was a face before, and working with his dad as a tag team, the crowd didn't really take to him, and I think turning him heel at the time was what saved his career. So we'll see where it goes from there. Obviously, the whole scenario of the crowd booing him when he's on the mic and him not being getting frustrated, not being able to get a word in, that works for Dominic. So I still think they should keep him as a heel, but we'll see how it goes. Uh, this match I did not predict because I didn't know at the time if it was going to take place or who the opponents will be. But Randy Orton comes out. A lot of speculation. Who could it be? Could it be Rusev? Could it be Aleister Black? Could be Nick Aldis getting involved in the match? None of the above. We got Joe Henry. Great moment for him and a great moment for TNA. To have their champion competing at WrestleMania. So, bravo to Henry. Obviously, it wasn't going to be a long match. I don't think you're going to have, WWE's working with TNA, but they're not. I don't think they're going to have, then coming on WrestleMania and having a long, equal match. So, Orton seemed to enjoy it. Hit his RKO. At one point, I thought he was going to hit Joe Hendry with the punt, and I was like, oh, are they going to bury TNA's champion with freaking having Orton kick him in the head? But no, it was a fun match. Orton got the win. Picked Hendry up and sort of acknowledge him, give him his moment with the crowd, and then dropped him again. So a good moment for Orton. Obviously, it wasn't the match that was planned, and unfortunately, Kevin Owens had to get his neck surgery done. So hopefully, he will be back and fully recovered, and we'll see what happens with Orton going forward. I don't know whether I felt it like it was sort of like Orton's last Mania. Hopefully not. But we'll see how his career continues going forward. Next match was a decent sort of wasn't fantastic, but it was Logan Paul versus AJ, and it was just one of those matches for them to hit their high flying moves. Logan Paul had a great lion salt halfway across the ring. AJ hit his moves. We got a spot with Karrion Kross showing up and sort of trying to get AJ to, I don't know, embrace the darkness or turn heel to use the brass knucks that Logan's friend had come out with. But no, he attacked Kross, and then Logan had took advantage and hit AJ with his finisher, and Logan won the match. So it was a good night for Logan Paul, and AJ got on the card. And as I said on Twitter or X, whatever they want to call it now, whether you like him or hate him, Logan, just every time he goes in that ring to compete, he gives it his all. He's not he's not half-assing it, or he's not uh, he's not looking for somebody else to carry the match and make him look good. He is putting in the work, and at times it looks. I know, popularity wise, he's very disliked, but it looks like he belongs in the ring. So we'll see what his career is going forward. Hopefully, he can get more regular matches instead of just showing up at specific dates for thing. We'll see what happens going forward. Um, Next one, I had predicted Liv and Raquel to win whenever it was versus Lyra and Bailey. Obviously, they did this scenario on Saturday night where Bailey had been attacked backstage. I thought that she was legit injured. Apparently now that's not the case. It's part of a story, or I don't know. It feels sort of like she was taken out of the match to basically just to have Becky Lynch return as Lyra's partner, and they won the tag titles. I thought it was a good match. A great moment for Lyra to team with Becky, both obviously from Ireland. Won the titles. Great moment for Becky to return. I don't know where to go with Bailey going forward. Obviously you needed a spot for Becky Lynch to return, and you're not going to have her uh, get involved in any of the other segments. Could they have held off Becky's return until Raw after Mania to have her show up and confront either Io Sky or Tiffany, or something like that? But it was a good match, and we'll see what happens now. Obviously, Lyra Valkyrie, she's one half the tag champions and the Intercontinental champion, so we'll see what happens with her career going forward. Obviously, a great first year, sorry, in the main roster. So, obviously, last but not least was the main event. I had gone with Cody to win, but I did say it would be interesting to see if Cena did win. To see what happens. It wasn't a great match. I'll be honest. It wasn't a great match, and the finish did feel a bit not stupid, but just it felt a bit unneeded. Like, obviously you had at Elimination Chamber, you had the whole scenario of Cena turning heel and working with The Rock, and for whatever reason Travis fucking Scott. And since then they've had no involvement. We've just had Cody and Cena, and they've obviously, when they've done their promos to each other, they've built up this match. The way it was executed with Travis Scott coming down to the ring and getting involved in the match, I don't think that was needed. I think they still could have had Cena win the match with, still have that moment of, where they're fighting over the title belt, and then, Cody has the chance to hit Cena with the belt and obviously uh, cheat the win, but he doesn't do it, and then Cena takes advantage and cheats the win and uh, break the record. But I just the whole involvement of Travis Scott, I don't know why he is involved. Um, I seen somebody say on social media it looks as if that was supposed to be The Rock, like that was supposed to be his uh, part in the story where he was supposed to show up, and get and caught and end up costing Cody, but they went with Travis maybe because Rock couldn't make it. But I don't think either of them had to be involved. As I said, there have been no mention or involvement of Rock uh, after an elimination chamber, and then for some reason they just reverted back to it and went with Travis Scott to show up. So I don't know why they had him involved. It really felt out of place. But we'll see what happens now. Obviously, Cena has won the title. He's broken the record, and it, as I said, it wasn't a great match, but maybe that is what was supposed to happen. With Cena predicted in one of his promos, he said that the WWE fans will get nothing, and he's going to ruin wrestling. He's going to be the last official champion. He's going to take the title. So we'll see what happens on the Raw after Mania. Obviously, Cena is scheduled to show up, so I don't know what's going to happen. Is he going to get rid of that title and bring back the spinner belt? Or are we going to have some complete twist? I don't know. Is somebody going to challenge him on Raw for the title and win it back from Cena? I don't know. Anyway, very great weekend. I love watching WWE ever since I started in 1999. So, especially around this year, WrestleMania week, love it. And as I said, some matches were better than others, but it's great to just sit and enjoy WrestleMania. I don't know if they need to continue with 2 nights. Maybe there's money to be made in doing 2 nights instead of one, but I think some of those matches could have been cut from the card and just one night, especially with the amount of that was happening. Obviously, you had the NXT. I think they could have done it where you had NXT on the Saturday night and then done WrestleMania on the Sunday night instead of squash it all together. Because even during the Hall of Fame, it was done after SmackDown, and people in the audience looked exhausted. They looked tired. Some of them were just like either struggling to keep their eyes open or they were sort of agitated. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes going forward for next year's. But anyway, let me know your comments. What are your thoughts on the 2 nights at WrestleMania, and what matches did you enjoy? What matches did you dislike? And was there any results that you would have changed or gone the opposite way? What do you think of the main events, and what do you think is the plan going forward? I still think there's more to this story with The Rock and Cody, whatever, if Rock is going to actually get involved. But I still think there's more to come, and it could go on to next year's Mania, but we'll see what happens. But anyway, let me know your thoughts. Drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. It'd be very much appreciated. And I shall see you again. We will see what happens on Raw and SmackDown after Mania. Anyway, take care. See you again.